Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about Zhu Yuan and if you should pull for her or skip her in favor of saving for Chingi, Seth, or Jane Doe. But before we get into that, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to get notified when I drop new Zenless Zone Zero content. Let's get into it. So first, Lynn's banner has already finished and now it's Zhu Yuan's banner with in her banner, she is accompanied by Nicole, who is the perfect agent to fit in Zhu Yuan's team. And also Ben, he's not a really particularly enticing agent to pull for. But he could be useful for future content like Shinyu defense content that's arriving in the future that could feature more defense-oriented team building, including Seth and healing. Maybe he could be useful there if you have more copies of him. But this banner is really good for Zhu Yuan and Nicole because they pair well together. And you can just add Anby there and you've got yourself a really good team. Zhu Yuan is a really flexible DPS character. She can slot in multiple teams like Kuleda and Lucy, and she can also use any support character and a stunner. So if you don't have a DPS in your team yet, and you're looking for one, Zhu Yuan is your best agent to get, especially if you're free to play and if you don't really have that many resources yet. She is good because she can work with the free to play characters. And if you pull on her banner, you might get more copies of Nicole, and that will make her much more stronger, especially if you get her to C6. So those are some of the main reasons why you should pull for Zhu Yuan. She's a first S-rank Aether DPS character. There's no one else right now in the roster. Nicole is a support Aether character. Her damage output almost rivals Ellen, but she is more of a burst DPS compared to Ellen because Ellen needs to ramp up and Zhu Yuan does her DPS in a short burst window using her shot shells. And like I said, she features flexible team building with any element or faction. So you can just slot her in any of your element teams there, and she will perform well as long as you have support, so you can activate her passive. And she's a long-term value as a DPS for Aether teams right now because so far there's no Aether DPS leaked or announced for the game yet. So she could hold her value for quite some time unless she is aircraft in the future. And like I said, the banner is really good because it has Nicole, which is an excellent support and ideal teammate for Zhu Yuan. And the banner value is really high because of those two. Ben is a low priority, but you will be happy if you can get him. He can slot in well in a fire team, especially if you have Kuleda. And you can pull if you want a strong Aether DPS character for your Aether team. You can clear the endgame content with her and Nicole and Anby, and they will do pretty well. One more reason to pull, if you like her design, she's really aesthetically pleasing to the eyes, and her playstyle is really nice. You can do long range, you can do short range, and she's basically pleasing to look at, if you know what I mean. And if you want to build an Aether team as soon as possible, which is pretty easy because one of the Aether supports is given to us for free, and Nicole is pretty charming as well. So you have two agents who are light on the eyes. And lastly, you want an easy to obtain top team because Nicole and Anby are free. And you don't need any other characters besides them. All right, here are some reasons for you to skip her. You already have a strong attack agent or DPS agent like Ellen. Ellen can carry you through most of the content or almost all of the content in Zenless Zone Zero for now, especially if you got Sokaku, multiple copies of Sokaku, or maybe just one Sokaku. You got one Sokaku for free. If you did the mission for her, you get one copy of her. So Sokaku plus Ellen is 2/3 of a strong team. You just need to add a stunner there like Anby, or if you have Lycon, that would be the best ice team so far in the game. So if you already have that, you might be thinking about skipping Zhu Yuan for now because you already have a strong DPS in your team. Or if you prefer to save for future agents like Chingi, Jane Doe, and Miyabi, for example. Miyabi is really popular among the players. And especially if you're a free-to-play player concerned about future power creep, because history tells us that TPS characters are really useful in the short term, but when push comes to shove, stunners, supports, And healers and defense supports have a long shelf life compared to DPS because they get power creep by newer, shinier DPS teams. So if you're really a free-to-play player or if you're minnow and you spend a bit of money on ZZZ and you want to save, especially for players, for agents like Miyabi, you might want to skip Zhu Yuan if you already have a strong attack agent like Ellen, or if you just want to save for a future DPS like Jane Doe, which is a physical anomaly DPS. And Zhu Yuan also needs a lot of Wenjin support. The best engine for her is her signature Wenjin, which is Riot Suppressor Mark 6. If you don't want to pull for that, you can go with the Starlet engine, which is given to us for free if you complete the requirements, which is also good. It's not that bad. It doesn't fall off that much compared to her signature weapon, but the signature weapon performs really well with her if you have the resources to pull for it. Okay, and she has also a drive disc, a defendant. She might have high crit rate, but you really need a really good substats on her drive disc to build her to her fullest maximum potential. But that's it. She's heavily equipment dependent. That's another downside there. So if you don't want that, you might want to skip her banner. Okay, so that's it for Zhu Yuan. If I missed anything, let me know in the comments below. But to summarize, if you need either DPS, if you don't have a DPS in your team right now, or if you just started out Zenless Zone Zero, if you're starting playing now, this is the best banner for you to pull on, because if you got her, that's an instant good team with Nicole and Anby. And the reasons not to pull, like I said, if you're saving, if you're F2P, if you already have a strong attack agent, you should skip this banner and go for or save for the future banners, which is speaking. So next banner is coming in about 20 plus days, which is Chingi's banner with Anby and Billy. So two free-to-play characters again. So you're essentially pulling for Chingi. Anby is a free-to-play stunner and Billy is a free-to-play physical DPS, but they're both A ranks. It's kind of weird though, because Chingi is the same role as Anby, and the banner value here is kind of low because you don't want to get Anby or Billy because they're already free. But if you want to max them out to C6 or M6, feel free to do so. Chingi is going to be the star here, and people are going to pull on her banner because she's an electric stunner. I think she's going to be really good because people are going to be using all their polychromes for Ellen and Zhu Yuan, and I think the developers will be making Chingi a really good stunner, a must-have stunner that it will force people to open their wallets, buy polychromes, and pull for Chingi. That's what I'm predicting. So if you're looking for a stunners or supports usually have a longer shelf life than damage dealers. So that could be the main reason for you to skip Zhu Yuan's banner and save for Chingi. But you have around 20 days to save up polychromes and do the dailies and conserve as much resources as you can to get Chingi. If you want to pull on Zhu Yuan's banner, you have a bit of time to save up for resources to pull for her. Again, Chingi, if you didn't know, I made a video about her. I'll put a link on the top right here, so you can click on that to check out her kit. In a nutshell, she's the first limited S rank electric stun character. The first electric stun character we have is Anby, which is she's really nice. She pulls her weight, but I'm pretty sure Chingi is gonna be stronger than her and has a higher damage output compared to her. I saw her kit and her damage multipliers are higher than Anby's, and she could work well with Zhu Yuan as well if you want to replace Anby in her team. So that would be Chingi, Zhu Yuan, and Nicole, or maybe you put another support character there like Rina. Stunners are also valuable for ending content requiring two teams because you need two stunners. You could put Anby on one team and Chingi on another team. And also, like I said, they have a higher shelf life. They'll be useful for a long time compared to a DPS character like Zhu Yuan. Alright, so Chingi can synergize well with characters like Grace or for electric, and also Rina because she's an electric character, and basically any electric team that needs a stunner She can work well with Anton, and she can work well with her old faction like Zhu Yuan. So it could be another incentive to pull on Zhu Yuan and then pull on Chingi's banner to pair them up. To sum it up, if 3 reasons to pull, you need a strong stun character. You don't have a strong S-rank stunner like Lycon or Kuleda, which are from the standard banner stunners that you can get. And maybe you got them already on your beginner summons, which is nice. So you don't have to pull for Chingi if you already have that high value S-rank stunner. Or you can skip her if you already have Anbi. And like I said, if you already have Kuleda or Lycon, and are satisfied with their performance, you don't really need an Elixir Stunner anymore because you have Envy. You can skip her and pull on Zhu Yuan. Okay, so for the next banner that we know, it's Jane Doe's, and along with Seth Lowell, the defensive electric agent, and Corin, so a physical DPS agent. Okay, so Jane Doe, what we know about her is she's a physical anomaly DPS character. She works well with Rena or other anomaly-based character, has high potential for being better than Piper, which is our current anomaly physical character in terms of team building, which is really flexible. She can go with another anomaly DPS like Grace, or she could be the main DPS of the team. You can use anomaly in support. So Grace, Jane Doe, and Rena. You can go with that team composition if you really want. If you need 2 DPSs, you don't really need a stunner here. And then she will have a long-term value as an anomaly DPS character compared to GU1, I think. That's my prediction. And she can synergize well with a disorder team. Like I said, Grace, Rena, and dual DPS potential with GU1. If you want to skip Zhu Yuan for Jane Doe, here are the reasons to pull for Jane Doe. You need another DPS. You like her design and playstyle. She has a faster playstyle than Zhu Yuan from what I saw in her gameplay leaks. She can work almost in any team. Dual DPS teams are viable for her, and she could work for long-term building. Okay? And then you can skip her banner if you're satisfied with Piper's performance. If you have Piper and you built her already, she goes well with Lucy and other fight teams. If you're satisfied with her, you don't need to pull on Jane Doe, or if you prefer to save for future agents. So by the time we get to Jane Doe's banner, there will be more information about the coming banners. So there might be better DPS characters on the horizon, or support, or stun agents. Or maybe defense agents will be needed now because of the new content that it was leaked that evaluates your performance not on the speed you take down or finish the mission, but on the number of agents that have died or are still alive in your team while completing the mission. So defense character could be important too. So in her banner, you have Jane Doe, you have Seth, and Corin. Corin is really a low priority here. I don't really use her, even if I do have, I think, 3 copies of her already. But Seth could be the reason to pull for on this banner too, because Seth is electric defense character. He can also buff anomaly, so he works well with Jane Doe. This banner could be really valuable in terms of pull to value ratio. Jane Doe, Seth, and the only agent there undesirable is Corin. But she could carry her own if you get her to M6. But all I'm saying is that Jane Doe, Seth work really well because Seth buffs anomaly. He can give anomaly bonus to the DPS character, such as Jane Doe. Alright, so that's it. I think if I missed anything, let me know in the comments again below. Again, those are my opinions only, and it doesn't reflect everyone's opinions. Consider your account's needs and look at your team. Look at what your team's missing and pull accordingly. I'll make more videos soon if I get my hands into more information about upcoming banners, so you can think about or plan out your pulls carefully. Again, if this was helpful to you guys, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to get notified for more content. See you next time, and happy gaming.